Now what? If you've ever said that to yourself at the top of the backswing, you're not alone. Turns out a lot of us golfers have no idea what starts our downswing, which makes it really hard to repeat the same movement and find consistency. I got a drill for you today that is my #1 drill ever. I learned this as a youngster watching Butch Harmon and Tiger Woods on TV, and I thought, hey, if it's good enough for Tiger, it's good enough for me. Since then, this has become a staple of my practice, and it should be a staple of yours. Today, you're gonna learn how to create consistent tempo, gain some awareness of what's actually going on in your downswing transition, and how to create repeatability, which ultimately leads to consistency and better scores. My name's Sam Desira. I'm a PGA professional and golf coach based in British Columbia, Canada. So let's get stuck into it. The top of the backswing. Everyone talks about how to get there and what this should look like, but rarely do we talk about how to actually deliver the club efficiently and effectively based on your golf swing. And I have to preface this with the idea that everyone has a different swing. Okay, finding what the trigger is for you is the ultimate goal of this video. And the drill that I'm gonna give you is gonna make that process much easier. Okay, so what is this drill? Well, it's a pause drill. You may have heard this before, but we're gonna essentially get to the top of our backswing, take a break, and then start our downswing. And together, we're gonna discover how to make this simple and effective, and again, repeatable based on your movement. Now, during my practice sessions, I would throw in about 5 to 10 reps of these every single time I hit the range. It's gonna help with our consistency and our tempo in particular. So what is the pause drill? Let's run through this together. First thing, we're gonna take our setup. I've got an 8-iron in my hand here. Once I've got into my setup, I'm simply gonna swing to the top of my backswing. I'm gonna stop for a count of 1 in my head, and then I'm gonna start that downswing. Now, this is the trick. What is it that is your trigger? What helps you start that downswing? When I ask students, what starts your downswing? More often than not, they can't give me an answer. And that's a bit of an issue, right? We don't have much awareness with what's going on in our golf swing, and therefore it's gonna be really hard to create a repeatable sequence. For me, it's my hip. I feel my hands get to the top, and I feel my left hip starting to get out of the way. And you can see here that I'm just kind of moving my left knee away. And as I do that, my left butt cheek moves behind me, my left hip starts clearing. And if I do this effectively, when I get to the top, my left hip starts turning and my right shoulder follows. So you can see that these 2 points right here, they're connected. I start moving that left hip, that right shoulder follows. It's important that that right shoulder, for me, feels like it works down so that my hands are dropping or falling rather than my right shoulder working towards the golf ball. Because if I get to the top and I start moving that left hip and my right shoulder goes towards the golf ball, I'm getting steep and over the top. But if I get to the top, my left hip starts moving and my right shoulder works down and I let my hands fall, I start to work my way back on plane, okay, into a good position to strike the ball. So again, this is a drill that I throw into my routine, my practice routine, maybe 5 to 10 shots every single time I go out there. And yes, it helps me get in the right positions. It gives me awareness of what's going on in my swing, but it also really, really helps my tempo and my rhythm. We don't want to rush our downswing. Now, I know that's easier said than done. It's very easy to get to the top, fire the hips or fire the hands, and just hope something happens with the speed of the club connecting with the ball. Okay, we've all done that on the first tee. You know, I'm nervous. I'm just gonna swing out of my shoes, hope I make connection. I don't care if it goes in the woods. If it goes a mile, it looks good. And then I'm off the first tee and I'm running away from the crowd, you know. But no, I wanna have more awareness here. So let's try this drill together. So I'm gonna take my setup, get to the top, count to 1, and then I'm gonna start my downswing. So let's give this a go. 1. And I just felt that left hip clearing, right shoulder under. Okay, and pretty good shot. I'm pretty happy with that. A little bit of a push, but no complaints. Okay. Now, obviously, when you start this drill, it's going to be difficult. You know, like I've given this to a lot of students. First couple of swings, not so great. That's where you need to keep pushing. Because when I first started this drill, and you'll hear Tiger talk about it in the video. He has an interview with him and Butch talking about this specific drill and how he did this for a year straight and he still hates it. You know, you realize if it was really difficult for the world #1, well, guess what? It's probably going to be difficult for me. So it's persistence. We need to have persistence with this drill. You just start doing this. The awareness you gain in your swing is unfathomable, okay? And then if I have awareness in how my golf swing works, well, I'm only going to start to build upon that very, very quickly, okay? So let's try another one here. So again, my feel is to the top, count of 1, left hip fires, out of the way, right shoulder follows, okay? Those key points. To the top, 1, left hip, right shoulder. That one felt pretty good too. Okay, so the thing that's interesting about this drill is when I'm usually demonstrating, I'm feeling in my head a real count of 1. And then I'll go back and I'll watch the video, I'll probably watch this footage after, and more often than not, it just seems like I've got a little bit better tempo, like I get to the top and then everything falls together. And the interesting thing is, if you try this yourself, you might genuinely think you're pausing for 3 or 4 seconds, and then you watch your footage, and you're actually just probably creating a nice smooth rhythm and connection between your backswing and your downswing. And that's the key here. That's kind of what we're looking for, right? So I'm going to now try this again, but I'm going to count to 3 this time. And so again, like in my practice routine, let's say, for example, you do 5 swings at 1 second counts, and then you do 5 swings at a 3 second count. Okay, so let's go into a 3 second count now. So a lot more awareness is needed to be able to start my downswing from the top in that 3 second pause. Let's give it a go. 1, 2, 3. Again, trigger, left hip clearing, and then right shoulder following. Again, pretty happy with that. I've done this drill for like the better part of a decade, so it isn't as unfamiliar. Again, don't be disheartened if you try this and your first 5, 10, 15, maybe 50 golf balls even aren't that great. As you start to get more awareness, you're going to be surprised how quickly your ball striking improves. Let's go one more for 3 seconds. Taking my setup to the top for 3. 1, 2, 3. Again, just that left hip, that's all I'm thinking about, okay? So once I've got that, and I'm like, okay, this is feeling pretty good, I've got a lot better sequence, my goal now is to utilize this drill by throwing it into a full swing. But the trick here is, and I'm guilty of it, I can get to the top and then I can get really quick, okay? And my old coach used to say, it looks like I'm like starting up a chainsaw, like I'm just pulling the chain, right? I don't want to do that. And that's where I get in all sorts and I get my misses. I'm aware of that. So with this drill, that pause, I now like to build it into a full swing, but I still have a feeling of a pause. And again, what I'm feeling and what you're seeing on footage, I assure you is likely different, okay? I'm feeling the pause at the top, that little moment, and then I'm through, but you're probably seeing just a little bit more of a smoother tempo and transition. Now, a little trick for me when I'm doing this, now that I've started to get to the top, get my trigger going, is I like to feel like the weightlessness, or like, in other words, I get to the top, I can feel the weight of the head and gravity is ready to drop that head, so my hands are ready to fall. Well, when I kind of feel that, that's a sign to me that I've gotten to the top of my backswing, I've completed the backswing, and now I can start my downswing. And that's important because a lot of players, they'll get about 80% of the way back and then they'll just rush into the downswing. Body and arms are out of sequence. So I really want to feel that weightlessness, that bit at the top where gravity's like, okay, now your hands are ready to come down. That means my left hip is starting to trigger and then I'm through. Okay, and again, I feel that through this drill. So you can see why this drill is it. If I had one drill for the rest of my life, this is the drill. It's working on my tempo and my rhythm. It's giving me awareness, which is crazy. If I have awareness of my golf swing and I understand how I get into my downswing, just think of how good you're going to be, right? As opposed to someone who just gets up there, swings, and hope it all kind of pieces together. So into our full swing now. Taking my setup, that feeling of weightlessness. Again, I'm getting to the top. Hands are ready to fall. That means my left hip is moving. And then again, for me, my right shoulder is working underneath. Okay, so to the top. You can see my ball speed jumps up. That felt pretty good. I felt my hands get a little bit quick. And then the funny thing here is, you can see it. Hands are a little bit quick. I've pulled it a little bit. I only have that awareness because I know what it feels like, right? To stop everything and get everything working together. So as soon as I identify that, and this is the cool part, if I'm out in the course, I'm like, okay, hands worked a bit quick. That means I need to get my lower body just to catch up a little bit more, or I slow down my hands. So next one, let's just try to get our lower body working a little bit quicker to catch up with the hands here. So I really tried to get my hip into that one, and you can see the result. Push to the right. Okay, this is cool. So I've realized that if my hands are too quick, the ball's gonna go left, and if I really fire my lower half and I kind of open up, maybe spin out a little bit, I get a push to the right. So how do I sequence this back together? Again, taking my setup, trying to get now my hands and my hips, or in other words, my lead hip and my trail shoulder to work at the same rate from the top of the swing. Okay, that felt pretty well timed. Like I got the hands and the hips pretty close to where they needed to be, and I'm pretty happy with that result. So again, this drill is just giving me awareness, giving me the ability to tweak my swing based on how I'm feeling it, and based on, of course, my ball flight and the result. I think that's the really cool thing. Once I have awareness, I understand what causes, my pull miss, what causes my block to the right, and then I'm able to identify these things and kind of tweak them. And ultimately, how much time would you save if you understood that, if you had that awareness about what's going on in your downswing, and you go and you practice and you get this pull miss all the time to the left, instead of trying to all these drills that you've seen online and throwing all these pieces together for an hour, if you have that awareness, you have the feeling, you can start to identify how to change that ball flight. And that's really the keys to the kingdom right there. If I can figure out what's going wrong, immediately I can start making informed changes and feelings. And that's the overall goal of the pause drill. Create some awareness, create some tempo and rhythm and repeatability. So next time you're at the range, give this drill a go. Don't be disheartened, it is difficult, but I tell you what, once you start getting it, people are gonna think you're an absolute guru if you can get to the top, pause, and deliver it and strike the ball well. If you like what you saw today, I'd really appreciate a subscribe and a like. It goes a massive way to supporting myself in this channel. And if it worked for you on the range, please let me know down in the comments. We'll see you in the next video, and together, let's simplify your swing.